we on the verge of another pandemic?
There's a lot more that is certainly unexplained, some that is even supernatural. Our children are more sick than they've ever been. We see autism rates that are just astronomically off the charts. I think this is all bigger and deeper than any of us could ever imagine.
So let's talk about ticks and meat. I know that it's real, but I also think this is a spiritual war.
You go back to Bill Gates and his funding of genetically engineered ticks and the lab-grown meat. They can take our cows away, farming collapses, and then we're all dependent on lab-grown meat, which is just gonna give us cancer. Interestingly enough, you'll be allergic to real beef, but not the lab-grown beef. Coincidence?
Here's the question. Who elected Bill Gates? I'm Shemane Nugent. She doesn't flinch, she doesn't filibuster, and she sure doesn't ask permission before telling Washington exactly what she thinks. Representative Lauren Boebert is here to dig into the UAP files, the Pentagon just cracked open, the Farm Bill fight for America's ranchers, and the much bigger question of what else Washington is still hiding. But first, are we on the verge of another pandemic? So the Pentagon just dropped a historic UAP file release under the new Pursue initiative. Why now? And what aren't they telling us? Joining me now is Representative Lauren Boebert. Lauren, welcome.
Shemane, thanks so much for having me on.
So before we get into that, all this stuff, I've got you here for quite a long time. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I got to set the record straight about something because, well, Ted says your name, Boebert. Is it Boebert or Boebert?
Boebert, very country.
Okay.
Just, yes, keep it simple. We're not French. And so this is my ex-husband's name. And, I certainly don't want to have a different last name than my 4 boys and my grandchildren. It's just Boebert.
I tried to, next time you can correct him, Lauren, go ahead, because I tried to correct him and he's not having it. That's what I'm calling her. So,
well, Uncle Ted can call me whatever he likes. I promise I've been called worse. And it's kind of hard to get in anything to correct him when he's on a roll. I usually get a very random phone call and then the conversation just starts flowing and he's on a mission to get his point across. So if it's Boebert, I'll still answer to it.
There you go. Well, let's talk. We've got a lot to talk about. So let's talk about this Pentagon release and UAPs. What is your take on all that?
Yes, well, I heard it best just today. I had a little bit of time in between laundry switching, and I was watching a reel, and this guy said, I trusted and believed in aliens a lot more before the U.S. government started saying they were releasing the information. And I could find a lot of truth in that, but there's a lot of frustration. Every skiff that I've gone into, there's always a caveat and excuses of different contractors who have onion-like clearance, and not everyone is read into everything. And so while one department or one contractor may be familiar with one layer to the onion, there's so many more beyond that. And I do believe that the files that were released recently, while historic, are underwhelming, especially given what I have seen in classified briefings that I'm not yet at liberty to fully disclose. But there's a lot more that is certainly unexplained. There is a lot of underwater activity, and I'm excited for some of that to come out and have the American public give their input to it. And some of this, just very well may be technology that we have tapped into that we aren't letting our adversaries know about. But most of the things that we are seeing, we are not familiar with other countries having this sort of technology or even ourselves. And there's a lot that is unexplained and some that is even supernatural.
I agree with you there. I have my thoughts on what all of this is about. Matt Gaetz was on here a couple of weeks ago talking about the alien hybrid breeding program. Years ago, if I would have said those words, I probably would have ended up somewhere with, in a white jacket. Why now, Lauren?
Yes, well, actually, I had brought this up in a congressional hearing, asking about the rumors of there being breeding with these biological beings and humans. This is something that whistleblowers came to Congress about in private settings, and they wanted us to go to actual bases and see for ourselves what was going on, but that access was denied. So this is not something that I've seen firsthand, but there's certainly been a lot of talk of it. So I can't tell you for sure if that is real or not. But again, look back at the Bible and all of the talk of Nephilim and fallen angels breeding with humans. People think I'm crazy for believing in some things, but I believe in the Bible. That's about as crazy as you could get because I take it at face value and believe it with my whole heart. And in today's world, that's really something. But even in these, even in some of the documentations that I'm seeing, there's a lot to do with even portals, and I'm interested in more information of that coming out as well. But even to be in a congressional hearing and have enough information to ask the question. Is there breeding between these biological beings and humans? There's that needs to be answered. And I got a lot of heat from local papers at home and some folks, but we're just asking the questions. If someone is going to come to congressional offices and say that they have seen it, that they have been a part of it, and are read into these programs, then it's worth an investigation. And all of these agencies, even the contractors, when they are too big to answer to government, when they were too big to answer to Congress, the entity that created them and gives them funding, then it's clear that they're too big. And we have got to rein that in and have more accountability.
What you started out with saying that you had heard somebody saying that they believed in the government, or they believed in the alien program or disclosure before the government started talking about it. And I think a lot of people are at that point. There's just so many distractions. I feel like this is a distraction. What about, we've wanted transparency and we kind of got it with the Epstein files, but then nothing happened. No arrests, all these awful, horrible things done to children and nothing. Nobody gets arrested out of this. So
there has been some action that has been taken,
yes,
just not enough here in America. But the CEO of the World Economic Forum had to step down because he was named in the Epstein files. So that's not an arrest, but we're not fans of the WEF and what they do and how they want global control. And for the CEO of that organization to have to step down, a Charles Schwab CEO, have to step down because he is listed in the Epstein files. I mean, that is actually a huge victory. We've seen diplomats have to step down from their position and other CEOs. And so those are small victories that are outside of our immediate scope here in America. But I think we're going to see even more. We recently had one of the women who claimed to be a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, who was employed by him. And she came in for a closed door deposition. All of this is transcribed. It was a transcribed interview. She came willingly. And all throughout her interview, she she had said that there were questions she wanted to answer, but did not want to implicate herself. And rather than pleading the Fifth Amendment, she said that if she was granted immunity, she would answer them at a later point. And now, I'm not a fan of granting someone who is engaged in this behavior immunity. However, we do need answers. And so that's something that I'm contemplating both in my mind and in my heart and prayerfully to see if that's something that we're willing to do. If this woman who has flown on the Lolita Express was there with Bill Clinton, who has named other men who sexually assaulted her, who was labeled by the DOJ as a co-conspirator, was sending emails and recruiting women, if she was groomed to be in that position and is willing to talk, then maybe we can get further with this. But also, many of these folks are saying that they've never even been interviewed by the FBI or DOJ, which is a huge problem.
And why do you think that is? We got about 30 seconds left and we're going to come back. But why do you think that is?
I think this is all bigger and deeper than any of us could ever imagine. And what has been released, there needs to be consequences and accountability, or we are going to lose further trust within the systems in our country. The American people already do not believe most of what is happening, and certainly not what they are being told is happening.
I totally agree. And, people are getting skeptical of whatever comes out next. And I hate to see that because I think that the Epstein files are significant. The UAP disclosure is significant. And it's like that movie, A Few Good Men, when Jack Nicholson's character, you can't handle the truth. I think that's where a lot of people are, is we want the truth. Just be honest with us.
And the American people can handle the truth. The government is not some special, super smart, privileged entity that gets to know more than its people who run them.
Yes. As Lauren says, he can call her anything, right?
Yes, I think that works just fine. He's earned that right. He's a patriotic, red-blooded American, and he's earned the right to pronounce my name however he sees fit.
So let's talk about, you mentioned something that I want to dive a little bit deeper into. You mentioned portals, and I go down the rabbit hole a little bit, which we shouldn't have to say. I have been in journalism for 46 years, and I think it behooves all of us to do research, not trust everything that you read in the newspapers, whoever reads newspapers anymore, or watch on TV. And I think we were also talking about public scrutiny of the government. We're kind of not trusting the government anymore. What are your thoughts on all of that?
Yes. Well, I trusted government a lot more before I got there. And I've seen how these backroom deals work and how legislation actually gets to the floor and gets passed. And, I have fought for regular order since I've been there. So every member of Congress can be empowered to represent their district, and we can pass legislation collectively with all of us giving our input and voices. And there's a lot of shady deals that happen. We do some great work as well. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not of the mind of I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help. We are not supposed to be the end all be all and who the American people depend on every single day. And so I want to limit the power of government. I want to limit the reach of government and provide those services that the Constitution says that we ought to. And then, of course, have oversight over these agencies and even get rid of agencies that we should not have, like the ATF. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms should be the name of a convenience store, not a government agency. And so there are things like that.
Or as Ted says,
control of.
Ted will say alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and pterodactyls. Like, what do they have to do with each other,
Right, exactly. Other than a good time, and fantasy, I don't know. There is a lot of mistrust, and I'm always working to improve what we do in Washington, D.C. But it does require the trust of the people and the consent of we, the people. And a lot of times in these back rooms, people are only caring about their next election rather than what's actually right for the American people.
So let's backtrack a little bit. Talk about what happened with you and President Trump, if you would, please.
Yes. Yes, I was expecting the president to come out hot against me. I went to Kentucky to campaign for my friend Thomas Massie, and obviously he was in a very tough primary, a lot tougher than we had even hoped. And unfortunately, he lost that race. I believe he lost that race to President Trump, not Ed Galrein. But he ultimately lost that primary election. But he's still with us for 7 months, and really the true victory that he got was 7 months prior to that election day, was when we got the Epstein files released, when we got that signed into law. This is something that will outlast any of us members of Congress. This is a law that is there forever. With that, I expected the president to not be satisfied with my trip there, but I can support President Trump and support my friends. Thomas Massie is the co-chair of the Second Amendment Caucus with me and has been an ally. And he and I don't even vote the same on everything, but I can understand and respect his position when his is different than mine. And that should be okay. And so unfortunately, he lost that election and the president had some choice words. But again, I've been called worse, and I'm not worried that the president and I aren't going to have a good working relationship in the future. I mean, for goodness sakes, he still endorses Lindsey Graham. So we'll be okay. And I'm going to continue working for my constituents and doing exactly what I promised them. There's a water project down in Southeast Colorado that was vetoed by the president, and I'm still working to get that across the line and get that project completed. And this was actually a promise that he had made in 2020. And so not only am I keeping my promises, I am helping the president keep his as well.
You know what scares me the most? That there is so much you talk about when you got there to Washington, D.C., you saw and heard a lot of things that, you didn't appreciate. How much of what's going on is pay to play?
Oh, there's so much. Well, really, that started with Speaker Newt Gingrich, and it's not a secret. So under Speaker Newt Gingrich, now he did win a massive majority in the House, and it was historic. But his method of doing that was saying, hey, members of Congress, all of you Republicans, you are raising a lot of money in your campaigns, but it's not enough. And so what if we create buckets where you can raise more money and then give it to the party? And actually, you owe the party for the committees that you sit on and the things that we do for you to give you a leg up or give you a chairmanship, a gavel in a committee, or even a leadership position in the House of Representatives. Yeah. And so really your base member. It's not. And so your base member owes about $200,000 in campaign dues to the NRCC every year. But it can be millions of dollars if you are the chairman of a large committee. So this is absolutely pay for play, because you're not getting millions of dollars from grandmas writing in $5 checks. These are coming from the big lobbyist groups, special interest groups. And I have, of course, taken PAC checks from the groups that I want to work with. But I am not bought by any group that I do not align with or agree with.
And that takes a lot. I don't want to say, especially for a woman, but I will, especially for a woman. It's different, I think, for men. But for you to stand up to Goliath, so to speak, you truly are an Esther. And I end the show with Esther 4:14, perhaps you were born for such a time as this. I think you were. What gave you the chutzpah, the character, the defiance? You're like Ted Nugent, only a female.
Yes, I'm like you. Well, so really, this comes from Mom and Jesus. My mom, she made either the mistake or the right move of telling me I can do anything and never accept no as an answer. So she has been my rock and my motivator all of my life. But really falling in love with Jesus, especially in my adult years, and following my faith has given me that confidence, because it doesn't doesn't matter what people say in the comments, what rumors they start about me or my family. That is not where I get my value from. That is not what defines me. Jesus paid too high a price for me to be defined by trolls on the internet commenting or the fake news media and their headlines. And so I know the promises that God has for me, that his word is true. And so it's perfect that you mentioned Esther there. Even in that scripture, she is talking about this being a life or death moment. And so, you can go to the king and speak, which is forbidden, or you can die. And so I really cherish the word of God and really serving the American people. And I think that too comes from my faith. I started serving in McDonald's and in my local jail, ministering to women, and had my own restaurant later. And so life is all about service. And if you are a member of Congress and don't have service as the forefront of your mentality, then you're certainly there for the wrong reasons. And I see that a little too much.
Well, what can be done about so many people in government who walk away tens of millions of dollars richer? We need to stop that. Everybody's upset. The people are upset about it. We had DOGE. We found trillions of dollars. Weren't we supposed to get a $5,000 check back or something? What
I did hear about that. Yes. And, I'm certainly no fan of stimulus, but when our money is being stolen by NGOs and all of these fraudulent programs and people committing this fraud, the American people are owed a debt that needs to be repaid. But as for the people who are serving, who start out with nothing or very little that they are reporting and come out tens of millions of dollars richer, this is a problem. And this is why I have supported banning stock trading for members of Congress. Insider trading is already illegal, but they just don't call it that when they do it. We are sitting on the committees that are making the decisions for these big companies and investments to be made potentially. So I do not trade stocks. I have said that this is one of the moral standards that I have, and maybe it's unfortunate for me because I'm living on this salary, mom of four, and my grandbaby and everything. But it's not supposed to be a position to enrich yourself. But it's not only the members of Congress, it's also their family and the deals that they have and the NGOs and the nonprofits that they start, and they are raising money and making millions of dollars off of it. We did have DOGE, and JD Vance is continuing a vein of that. But Congress is supposed to be DOGE. When it was first announced that this would be the Department of Government Efficiency and that it was going to audit every government agency and every program and every dollar that was being spent, I'm like, well, we used to call that Congress. Why aren't we doing that? Instead, we rubber stamp programs to be reauthorized without even making them come before us and justify the proof of their existence. And so it is very wasteful, and I'm tired of the American tax dollars being stolen. We should be good stewards of your money, not allowing all of this waste, fraud, and abuse. And we've seen some accountability, but there's a lot more that needs to be had.
And to think that our tax dollars are going to fund torturing beagle puppies is really insane.
We have a member of Congress who had one of those labs. We have a Democrat member of Congress, and I can't say his name, so I'm not going to try, because then I'm some name, I don't know, a racist, a xenophobe, or something for not being able to pronounce it. But he owned one of these labs where beagles were being tested, and he's serving in Congress still today, even after that being exposed.
It's so heartbreaking, and literally, we're going to get into this. I want to circle back about something you said in the first segment about portals. What are you talking about?
Yes. Well, at this time, I'm not able to disclose everything that I have seen, and I certainly don't know what they all are. But this is a huge question mark within the intel agencies. Now, if you think to all of the quantum physics that have been coming out over the past few years and actually bending space and time, I think that this lines up with that very well. But there are definitely phenomenons that happen in our skies that appear to be access to another realm, another time, or just something
Another
that
dimension?
yeah, maybe. But we don't know what's on the other side of that. But just the images that we have seen, it definitely is something that can't be explained by any other discrepancy we've seen in photos or in videos. And this is a huge question mark that the intel agencies have, or at least that's what they tell Congress. But this is something that I want to see released in its totality. I know that I have not seen all of it yet. And there are also things that I don't think we will ever see released from these files because they aren't able to really hide where our military was at that time, and they don't want to interrupt other missions that may go on in those areas. But there's certainly a lot more than what was released, and that's only creating more questions for the American people at this time. Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee has been great on this issue, and then of course Congresswoman Ana Luna from Florida, and this is a bipartisan task force that we are on, where we have Democrat members who are interested in getting these answers as well. So I hope that we can get the answer to what I am told and what I perceive as potential portals, and maybe it's something that is more explainable, or quantum physics and God is just proven to be more right all the time.
Is there time travel?
If there is, I would put it into this quantum physics area and say that there's no such thing as time, and everything is continuous. Everything that has happened, everything that we have seen happened will happen again, and whatever we haven't seen yet has already happened. Just like with God, there is no such thing as time, and we are all living for eternity. Now, that's something that we can't wrap our carnal minds around, and that's why God said that he placed eternity in our hearts. That is something that we have a knowing of on the inside of us, but aren't fully able to articulate and comprehend because it's not for our mind to understand. I believe that this is a spiritual thing that God placed on the inside of each and every one of us to know that this isn't the end and there is more life to come.
I agree with you. And I think, unfortunately, the media, I don't watch mainstream news anymore, TV at all. And I think they're just trying to put us in a state of fear, which lowers our immune system. And that's the new weapon, don't you think?
Yes. I don't think it's new, though. I think that
That's true. That's true.
this has always been, they want us sick and poor and barely living with an illusion of health, an illusion of health care. And, this is, it's all a matter of keeping us trapped in this cycle of poverty, spiritual poverty, financial poverty, health poverty. And it's so we stay dependent and continue giving our money to the government and begging them to help us and be there for us, rather than living our God-given purpose to the fullest extent. And our health is one of the most important things that we can focus on. And when you're watching, I don't care if it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, whatever it is, when you are consuming that all day, every day, I mean, that is getting on the inside of you. And that frustration can do a lot of damage to you, can make you just change your personality. It can also motivate you like it did me and send you to Congress, which I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but I'm still happy to serve regardless.
So tell me about, let's get into the last couple of minutes about what's going on with the Farm Bill and in Colorado and our food security. This is a big issue.
Yes. So we were able to successfully get an amendment in the House version of the Farm Bill, not to ban pesticides, but to prevent immunity from these pesticides companies. When you have a Bayer coming out and saying that we want to be immune from lawsuits, this is a huge problem. Now, I am not in favor of an all out ban on pesticides, on Roundup. I think that there is some use for them. However, we should be able to have a warning label. And if this is not labeled, then they certainly should not be immune from lawsuits, and they should be held liable for the damages that it causes to us. But I think in some practices, spraying these pesticides, especially on our wheat, right before harvest is very damaging to us. I mean, our children are more sick than they've ever been. We see autism rates that are just astronomically off the charts. And then, of course, all of the autoimmune diseases that we see across our country. And, I think that we can certainly look to our food resources, and then, of course, the pharmaceutical industries and what they have either convinced us to inject or forced us to inject in our bodies. And it's really unfortunate when they have members of Congress who are saying that these companies should be immune from lawsuits. I mean, look at Pfizer; they are immune from lawsuits and being held liable for damages that are done.
How is that possible?
Congress is how.
And didn't President Trump talk about making glyphosate a national security issue?
And this isn't something that I saw happening overnight, but I didn't expect us to retract from that as quickly and as violently as we have in a large way. I am really looking forward to the MAHA agenda. And I think right now we should be waist deep in it. This is an easy thing that we were able to do. That's why the American people believed in the promises that were made on the 2024 campaign trail, because they were possible. They were achievable. This wasn't something that was out of this world and that we can actually obtain. And so I want to be more aggressive with that. But in the Farm Bill, of course, the Senate wants to put that immunity back in for these pesticide communities. I will be a conferee on the final conversations of the Farm Bill. And so I will be having a say in what that bill looks like in the end. And I know there will be negotiations, but this is not an issue that I'm going to budge on. Our farmers, they need help right now. They should be rolling in high cotton. And unfortunately, things have been really tough for them, especially here in the West. We're facing a massive drought. And, I'm talking with our farmers and ranchers on a daily basis, our producers, and they are the ones that feed our country. And we want them to feed our country healthy food that isn't full of poison.
And who is they when we talk about they're spraying the skies with chemtrails and 5G? I've only got about a minute left. I know that's a loaded question, but what are your thoughts on those two things?
Yes, well, our EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, he's actually put out everything that he had pertaining to chemtrails, contrails, cloud seeding. I think that there are some benefits to actual cloud seeding if it's just a particular ingredient that is being used in a particular area. But when you look up in the skies, it is extremely concerning what we are seeing, not knowing what is being sprayed or even knowing what is being sprayed, and nothing is being done about it. But a lot of this is even private contractors that are funding it and our state governments that are funding it. Not all of it is from the federal government. And so a lot of folks need to start asking their local governments and folks in their areas who's really funding this. A lot of the places here in Colorado, they don't like to meet with us when we ask questions, because then that money just might dry up.
Well, you are an Esther. Thank you so much for joining me. How can people quickly follow you on social media? Are you on social media?
Yes, I am. So on X at Lauren Boebert. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook as well, Lauren Boebert for Congress. I have my official pages as well. And every now and then I post cute little story pictures of my grandson on Instagram. So it's been a pleasure chatting with you. And I can't wait to see you in person soon. Thanks so much for having me on, Shemane.
Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Stay safe.
Yes, God bless you. Thank you.
Ranchers are finding boxes of ticks on their property. For people that don't know, it makes your body allergic to red meat.
Right. And who has got genetically made meat now?
Yeah. Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Joining me now to discuss is Tresha, my friend, Tresha Rodriguez. Tresha, welcome.
Welcome. How are you? Oh, my goodness.
So let's talk about ticks and meat. I don't think... I mean, I know that it's real, but I also think you and I were talking off air. This is a spiritual war.
Right. Right. But you have to question the 10,000% uptick in the ticks in the last 10 years. And the left wants to say, oh, it's climate change. Well, guess what? Let's connect the dots here for a second. So you go back to Bill Gates and his funding of genetically engineered ticks and the lab grown meat. I don't know, Shemane, I feel like if they can take our cows away, farming collapses, and then we're all dependent on lab grown meat, which is just going to give us cancer. So what do you think? Do you think it's a hoax? Are they dropping boxes of ticks on ranches and farms?
I think they are. We live on a ranch, and I've seen a lot of ticks on my dogs, and actually Ted had a couple too. But I also know there's a book called Lab 257 about Plum Island, where they created literally Lyme disease as a biological weapon. So I wonder what the end game is here. You know, you've got the alpha gal. If you get bit by a tick and you're supposed to not want to have red meat, you're right. Here's the question. Who elected Bill Gates?
Right.
I didn't.
Good question.
I didn't. Why is he in charge of this?
Right. This computer guy. And are we going to start seeing lab grown beef in the supermarkets, which interestingly enough, you'll be allergic to real beef, but not the lab grown beef. Coincidence?
Yeah. Will it be 3D printed at some point? I mean, it's getting crazy, but I want to talk to you about something that you and I are passionate about, which is the beef. We just had Memorial Day, and we had steak from another place with another outing. It's in a very expensive place. It's not even as good as Switch to America with Shemane. Talk about why.
Well, yes, it's not, right? And I can tell you, just cooked some ground beef the other night. I'm like, do you want a burrito? Do you want a taco? She's like, no, I'm just going to eat it as is. It is absolutely delicious.
Me too. Salt, pepper, butter, and that's it. That's all you need.
Keep it simple. It tastes like real beef because it is real beef. Everything is processed on the ranch. So switch to americawithshemane.com. Absolutely delicious, clean, grass-fed, no pokes. We have the never ever label, never any hormones, no antibiotics, nothing like that. No ticks dropping from the sky, guys. You don't have to worry about that. But we also have some fantastic new bundles that have come out for the summertime. So we've got the Holy Smokes. We've got the Tailgater. And Shemane, I can't tell you how many times I've had people ask me, can I just get a cow? Can I buy a cow? I'm like, well, guess what?
Really? That's a good point.
I know. It's like stock up, right? Stock up. So we have something called the Homestead Bundle, where you're getting 63 pounds of beef. And you can just, stock up. But it's Black Label, Prime, USDA, reasonably priced. You can afford this. You can join for $1 and choose your bundle, and right in time for summertime, right? We've got all the summertime bundles: backyard bundle, the Holy Smokes, the Tailgater, the summertime backyard bundle. Yeah, there you go. We've got them all. And by the way, let me just say something really quickly about the ticks. I resent that they're calling it the Lone Star tick. I'm like, no, don't mess with Texas.
I know, right?
Beef. I'm like, don't call it that.
Yeah.
Get away with your crazy names over here, right?
I'm blown away by how great this beef is. And I hate to be negative, but I go out to a nice restaurant and I want steak. I'm like, is it going to be better than Switch to America with Shemane? It never is. But here's the best part about it. Well, two things. It's prayed over. You told me that before. The cows are prayed over, and it's delivered to your door.
It's delivered.
What's not to love?
No, it's easy, it's convenient, and you love your ribeye, right? And
I love the ribeye. I love the ribeye.
Yeah. I know. I've gone out to restaurants and thought, why I can just grill at home and be super happy.
I know. Yeah. I know. I mean, why waste?
I know.
Why waste money?
Also, we've added beef jerky. There's beef tallow, and I've been cooking with that. It's absolutely delicious. But you can these bundles every month, every other month, every 3 months now. So if you're someone who's single and you're like, oh, I don't think I can afford this, or it's not true. You can get your beef delivered right to your doorstep. It comes in a hermetically sealed box in dry ice. They tell you, right, Shemane, they're like, hey, the beef is on the way.
Yep. Yeah, I get a text message and I was really bummed because we have company and we ran out of the ribeyes. I'm like, dang it, I should have called Tresha. But I can't express enough how I've been doing this for a couple of years now. Never once has there been a problem where you talk about hermetically sealed ice. There's never been a problem. It always stays fresh and frozen and perfect, and it's amazing.
I know, Shemane, I get so many beautiful testimonies and people who text me and they're like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely delicious. I'm like, I know, I'm telling you, like, you don't have to go to the big box stores or be in fear of a screwworm or E. coli or now this ridiculous tick. Like, you don't have to worry about that. It's delivered right to your doorstep. And we don't want to go lab grown beef. That is, I don't know, Shemane, they're not taking my cows away.
No,
they're taking our cows away.
It's also, I keep saying, the other thing I like about this is that when people call, they actually speak with you or one of your representatives. We have missed out on this communication because of our phones, this verbal communication that somebody can walk you through every stage. So I really appreciate what you're doing, Tresha. Thank you so much for doing it. And Switch to America with Shemane.com is the place to go. And you could call Tresha. Just call her. Right?
I will give you the personalized tour. I love it. I love to talk to your audience. In fact, I just talked to someone this morning and she's very happy with her beef bundle. Yes, I'll get on. I'll talk to you. You can book a tour with me. I'll tell you all about the ranch, the store. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful alternative. We can live healthy and you can afford to do this. So I hope everyone gets their summertime bundle. And if you want a cow, I can talk to you about the homestead bundle.
Yeah, that's great. Tresha, thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully next time we don't talk about ticks and screwworms, but just fun stuff.
I agree. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. We're trying to end this show. We always try to end on something that is uplifting and makes you smile. Take a look at this.
I'm going to go for a ride into town. I'm going to go for a ride maybe with a friend, maybe. But I'm going to go for a ride. We're going to go to the farmer's market, and we're going to go for a ride. Do you want to go for a ride? Do you want to go for a ride or not? You don't want to go for a ride. You do want to go for a ride? It sounded for a minute there you didn't want to go for a ride. Do you want to go for a ride? Do you want to go for a ride? Let's go for a ride, huh? You want to go for a ride? I think I'm burning you out on these, aren't I? Let's go for a ride.
I had a good voice because I could send you a funny pet video. I sing "You Are My Sunshine" to Jackson, our dog Jackson, and literally as I'm singing it, his eyes start rolling back and he just, sometimes it's two all the way through "You Are My Sunshine" and he will lay down and start closing his eyes. But I'm not that confident in my singing capabilities, but maybe I'll share it with you. I do have another video. You got to watch next week. I'm going to show you Jackson's he is Speedy Gonzalez and we can't keep up with him sometimes, but I'm going to show you a video of Jackson running around next week. Thank you guys so much for watching Faith and Freedom. I really appreciate it. Thank you to the Rav family. I'm so proud to be a Rav family member and to be able to talk about UAPs and Nephilim and alien hybrid and portals and things like that we weren't able to, and ivermectin, we weren't able to talk about things like that. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate this connection that we have. If you want to find out more about me, you can check out my website. It's shemanenugent.rocks. As I mentioned, I think to Lauren, I've been in not only the health and fitness industry for 46 years, but also journalism for 46 years. My first job was in radio at Central Michigan University in 1980. Wow. And that's when I started teaching group fitness classes too. You can check out my books. One of them is called Abundantly Well. It's available on Amazon, and it's a 40-day wellness devotional to meet you where you're at in your health and wellness goals. And also Killer House is all about my journey through losing my home that was once featured on MTV Cribs, and my health to toxic mold. Nothing to be ashamed about, but it really does affect everybody. And I want to share everything that I've learned with you so that it doesn't affect you and you don't lose your home or your health. So go to Amazon.com, check out my books, Abundantly Well and Killer House. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I'll be here every week. I hope you will too. Follow me on social media, Instagram, Shemane Nugent, and Facebook, Shemane.Nugent, and also YouTube and X. Love you guys. Esther 4:14. You were born for such a time as this. God bless.